G'day guys, Brisbane brothers here, Aussie
and Dan's
back on the XR. We're showing you guys today how to fit a brand new 650 double pumper Holley Carby. We're going to run you through the setup and show you what we like to use. Let's get started. First thing guys, absolutely pays to use a low intake manifold where you can, dual plane for streetability. Edelbrock Performer 2V is my pick for 99% of street cars guys, or the air gap. You want it nice and low. The reason being, if you put a carburetor straight on the intake, you're going to have heat soak issues. The thickness of this gasket is not enough to cut the heat back from the base of the carby, and as soon as the intake gets hot, you'll start boiling fuel, you will lose a lot of power, you'll be very unhappy with the build. So what we like to use guys is the proper phenolic Bakelite half-inch spacer. Now these are completely different, there's nothing else like it on the market. The 17-62, I always love to use these gaskets when I'm fitting a carby guys, the 1900 Felpro open square bore sticky gaskets. They've actually got a little bit of something on them sticky, really helps them seal good. So two of those, one for the top, one for the bottom. The other thing guys, Arp Studs, black oxide finish so they don't rust. Part number there, 200-2402.
Bit of a tip guys, we notice these studs don't have any nut provision or any provision to get something to actually wind them in.
Some of the 12-point Arp studs have a hex on the top here, so you can actually wind them in with a socket. It's very handy.
So what we do guys is you get two nuts and you actually tighten them into itself, so you've got a bit of a nut to do it up on. That's a bit of a tip guys, and then you just simply unlock them and they come undone. It's a pro tip. So I've got that set up, so 2 1/2 inches or a 1/2 inch and a 13 to lock the nuts first, and then you can drive them into the intake. Guys, even though you're using new parts, pay attention to everything you're unwrapping and have a good look, visually inspect everything guys. You never know when you're going to pick up on something that quality control could have potentially missed.
See what he's doing here guys, we want them down to the base and we want them nice and flat, nice and level, so when we finish all 4 studs are sitting at the same height.
Now I'm going to tighten off the top one and it's going to drive it home.
The top one will tighten into that bottom nut there and it'll just get it in nice.
It's brand new here guys, an alloy thread, so just
don't ever put
much.
like, you know, vice grips or pliers on the stuff the thread.
Bit of feeling, that's it. It's about empty there.
Beautiful,
a little bit more, nip it, that's it now.
This is the trick now.
All you do guys, so you get 2 1/2 inches or a 1/2 and a 13 and you just get on the nuts like that. That's
separate them,
lock them, that's
done.
it. Don't drop them into the intake. So
doesn't even need to be that tight guys.
Take your time guys when you're working with the opened intake on a perfect engine that's ready to go.
Make sure there's no dust and that in there too, of course. Beautiful. Oh yeah. Very nice.
That's it. 1 stud sent home. Beautiful.
Alrighty, we'll chuck the other 4 in, we'll get the carby out and I'll show you guys how to double check the transfer slots are in the right position before you bolt the brand new carby on.
There's times to do things quickly and carelessly, there's times to take extra care, now's the time to take extra care. Beautiful.
Let's have a bit of a perv on this one and just putting the other one in. What I was mucking around under the dash guys has got the old Willwood boosterless master here. It's beautiful, very neat. They've done all of the brake lines and everything, but they didn't have the end connected to the pedal. So we've got plenty of thread there, plenty of adjustment. That's our new brake connection, which we're going to put onto the dash to connect the pedal to the pedal box. And we'll have to get this switch back in. This is something pretty cool guys. XR, look at that. Completely different switch. It's not fixed on the thing. So we'll get that back in with the wiring. We've done our shifter earlier this morning. That's absolutely pro install. Real nice. Generally, you don't want to fit a cable shifter in a car with a bench seat. You kind of run out of room, it goes too far forward, you won't be able to really change gears nicely, but with the right style ratchet shifter or this B&M Quicksilver, it kind of drops back into drive and then it'll fall down and you can ratchet back and forth for second and third, so that before we fitted it, we put it back into first gear and we made sure that you're not going to have any issues interfering with the bench seat in first gear and that the shifter's nice and on the flat part of the floor. That's come up very nicely. Alrighty, that is beautiful. This is the XY GT Phase 3 style accelerator linkage, not the manual pin. It's actually adjustable on the other end, so that'll be a cool thing when we come to tune that in. I'll stop the video here and I'll go and grab the brand new Carby in the box and we'll have a bit of a look over it. And I'll show you a few things that you're going to need that we're going to have to actually go and grab from my collection at home the customer didn't have, and we'll get into the next step. Alright guys, part number 1900 Velcro sticky gaskets. They've got a nice little edge there that you can just tear, keep it clean, keep your hands clean. What I like to do with these guys, they've got writing on them. If you look at the base on the Carby, you want to actually flip that writing forward because there's a lot of cutouts at the back of the engine, at the back of the Carby to go to the brake booster, so I like to put the writing forward.
Try to avoid touching the surface, guys, because
they're beautiful guys, they're sticky. They've got this little bit of tack. If you were to use your traditional open 4-barrel gaskets and a spacer plate, it pays to put a thin smear of grease on this bottom one, because when you're doing these up, it's going to pull the Carby into the top of the spacer, but if you're using a 1-inch or a 2-inch, you're not going to be pulling down on here with the fastener. It'll be a bit loose, so you put a bit of grease and it just really helps, guys. That's a race trick I learned when I was working in a race shop doing a lot of dyno tuning.
Sometimes, guys, you got to change the orientation of this until it's the best fit. This looks like it's good. It might just need a little bit of
very tight. You've got to give them a bit of a tappy.
You want to get it down nice and even.
Don't fight them if they are tight, because it's very easy to break these. They're so hard, they're actually brittle. Right guys, so be very gentle with these. They're so hard. If you pick up one corner or you try and whack it down with a hammer or something, you'll actually break it. Take your time, do what Dan's is doing, chase the 4 corners. There we go, beautiful. Check your alignment in the middle. These are so tight they don't have any wiggle room. Cheaper spacers have a bit of wiggle room around the bolts. You want to make sure you've centered. You want to find your forward and back, and you want to do it in the middle. And when you put your Carby on, you want to make sure it's centered too, and give the throttle blades a quick flip. The last thing you want to do is put a Carby on that's going to stick open.
I love this, guys. These are the best ones. They've got a little bit of tack. Do not touch the surface if you can help it, because you've always got a bit of oil residue on your skin. Just hold the outside.
Let's get the writing forward.
Writing forward, never forget that, guys. And that's it.
See, they put a fair bit of part numbers and that on there, and I'll show you when you get the Carby out why I like to do that.
Bro, already this looks performance. This is sick, guys. Check it out. Brand new. Guys, this is my...
Guys, you're probably only going to get 4 horsepower out of this, if you're lucky, maybe 1%. But what you're going to get, guys, is on a 40-degree day in Queensland or a 35-degree day, when your whole engine's getting hot and your intakes are boiling, doesn't take long for the heat to creep straight into the Carby, and you'll get vapor lock issues. So what we've done here with this 1/2-inch phenolic Bakelite Holley spacer is completely eliminated that. We're never going to have any issues with heat soak. It's awesome, well worth the investment.
Got a brand new Holley Carby, guys.
Oh!
One of these. I'm lucky enough, guys, to say I've actually purchased quite a few of these new, and it's an experience, guys. If you're going to spend money on good things in life, do it, because it's such a rewarding experience to get the
One thing
box.
that impresses me about Dan's is every build of his, he gets a brand new Carby, guys, and that really makes sense. I'm a bit of a Scrooge, and I like to rebuild old Carbys and save $1 where I can, because I'm quite handy and I know what to do. But I'm telling you, it pays to get one brand new like this, guys. Oh, wow. Clear sight glasses, 650 HP Street double pumper. It's the new style, super lightweight. Wow, it is beautiful.
Yep.
Something you notice when they come out of the box, guys, they don't come with a ball stud, which is what we'll have to put in this hole here or this hole, depending which way it'll be on the top here to pull back. So we'll get a ball stud. I've got a box of 4 or 5 at home. No one ever has them. I've got to remember to start bringing them with me. The other thing you'll need, guys, is a twin feed fuel rail, which we have on the bench. Chrome fuel rail that's going to go into both of these bowls and hang forward. And the other thing you're going to need is a Wise air filter. Me and my brother are loving at the moment the Extreme Style 14-inch. The bigger the air filter, the better. Whatever engine you put a Carby on is basically an air pump, guys. You want as much air to get in with no restriction. Small air filters make no power.
There's a few little things on this we're going to run you through next, guys, before putting it on. There's a few crucial things. One of them is my old mate, the idle transfer slot. So Ozzy will run you through that.
Wow, this one's perfectly set up.
Wow.
Guys, this is the first Carby I've undone out of a box. See that tiny little rectangle in there? You want that to be
beautiful.
No longer than 2 times high than it is wide. When people turn the curb idle screw too far, it opens the throttle blades like this. The more of that transfer slot there that you get exposed, once you start to expose that hole there, you're actually not working on the primary circuits, you'll be in the secondary circuits. People will be complaining of flat spots, bogging off the mark, general all-around shit performance, because you're not going to be idling on your pure emulsified mix, which is an air and a fuel. What you want coming into the engine on idle, guys, is air and fuel bubbling like what you find in the waves at the beach or what comes out the back of a jet ski. You don't want solid fuel. Solid fuel won't burn, it won't atomize. You'll have turbulence issues. Guys, this is perfectly set. But if you're buying a Carby or fitting one, make sure that you wind this curb idle screw out or in as far as you need to get that transfer slot exactly where it's got to be. I love that these new Holleys are actually numbered on the side, so there's no shit with identifying them or having to look up part numbers. They're great. Clear sight, so we'll know how to set our fuel floats and set our needle and seats. This is beautiful, guys. Okay, let's get that twin feed.
Problem while you're talking about the idle transfer is people will just touch that screw straight away because there's like a vacuum leak or the timing's out or something. They want more RPM. They'll just go straight to that screw. Guys, don't do it, because when the slot's set up perfect, you don't want to lose. If you have to touch it, remember the turnage, quarter turn, half turn, and just remember where the point was when it originally was set up. So the slots are spot on, guys. That is a pro tip.
I don't want to give all my secrets away, guys. 90% of cars that I've been called out to that have no start issues, the car becomes loose. Carbys don't need to be done up very tight. And the other few percent is incorrectly set idle. That's gone so far beyond the transfer slot that you're in the secondary circuit and you're pulling straight fuel through the boosters. You can't do it, guys. It doesn't matter how healthy your engine is, how much compression you've got.
Sit it on, bro?
Yeah, man.
Sit it on.
Oh, fuel rail time.
Oh yeah, fuel
rail time.
Always want to get
That's just over here. We've got this prepped, ready to go. This is just a Holley chrome twin feed. Love it. You really shouldn't use thread tape on these, guys, because they can get stuck in the needle and seats, but we're so pro. If you wrap your thread tape so that the tail finishes in the direction of the thread, and you move it back off of the nose of the bolt so it's further back, and just a couple of layers, it'll be perfect. What you really should use, guys, if you're not competent, is liquid thread tape, which is not that here. Alright, guys, another thing that pays is to check this Allen key grub screw is tight, and sometimes to put a bit of Loctite on there too, but we know this one's mint. Another little tip: if you're chasing 400 horsepower or more, 3/8 on your fuel rail. Do not keep it at 516. The 5/16 fuel rails will fall over at about the 350, 380 horsepower mark. You just won't get enough fuel into the Carby for the engine to make any more power. So what we've done here, we've got the high flow pro flow mechanical fuel pump, and we're going to be doing a full 3/8 line conversion from the center all the way through the car using some parts from Mustang Auto. So we're going to make sure that the fuel line internally 516 is 8 mil and internally 3/8 is 9.5 mil. It's only 1.5 mil, but if you look at the hose on the end, it's an absolutely incredible difference.
Oh, ball stud. Holy, can you please start putting ball studs in the Carbys? Please.
Yeah, Holley, you should do that. The ball stud, guys, is what goes on the Carby and what will click into here. I'll bring one out tomorrow. I've got a few at home, so when we finish this video off, look, I'll just quickly mention this because we're not at the stage yet, but when the Carby goes on, someone's got to hop in the car and hit the pedal down to the floor, and someone's got to come and step over the Carby before fuel's introduced, and you've got to make sure that the throttle blades are opening right up perpendicular to the throats. I can't say how many cars I've gone to where people are complaining about power and tuning issues, and me and my brother have checked it, and straight away the first thing, we have to laugh. Guys, big guys, full-on racers that we know, guys that have got these full-on builds and they don't check this. Guys, if the Carby doesn't open up, doesn't matter what you've done here, you can spend 15, 20 grand.
And the accelerator cable was so loose, they weren't getting full throttle, and they go, the engine's trash. Guys, the engine was
that was the sweetest engine we ever brought.
We just had to sort out the throttle cable, that was it.
Alright guys, we'll get over to the next step. Thanks for watching. Alright guys, once again, let's check those transfer slots. We've got better light here. Oop, it's on the front. Where are we looking? Over here. Alright guys, see that transfer slot there in the corner? That's perfect. I actually like to start smaller, square, but that's perfectly adjusted to the book. The reason guys you want it there, if you start to open the blades, there's another hole there that you can see. That's the secondary. You don't want that. Alright guys, so we've fingered the fuel rail in. What a beautiful little, wow.
It's really lightweight, guys. I love these. Definitely, guys. The blended air bolt being gone, I just think it's more power straight away.
Oh, I like an open center, guys. It is a lot more power. When you start chasing tenths with a car and there's nowhere to go, you can like start going to an air bell and things like that. Running one of these with a choke horn just doesn't really work.
Wow. What a combo. Gee, this car's gonna have a sweet car at the end of it, bro. What a machine. Look at it.
Absolutely beautiful. And what we've done here guys too is I've actually brought longer studs than needed because we're using a 1/2 inch space where I brought 1 inch studs. So if we have a look there, the thread is kind of a bit close to the Carby base. So we're absolutely gonna have to use washers under the Carby. Don't use a spring washer, you want to use a flat washer.
It's flat side, guys. If you put the flat side down, it will score because it's a sharp edge.
You'll cut the shit out of that aluminium base.
See guys, that's the flat. Use that nice rounded surface down.
Yep.
And it'll just keep your Carby looking nice.
And let's just check that thread to the edge. Oh, that is
check
beautiful guys. See how it's covering the thread? If you were to notice here that the nut's going to hit the thread, put a double washer on there.
A little bit of...
Maybe a double gasket. The phenolic stayed in there, it's fine.
Holley, what are you doing to us, mate? Bloody no more stuff, you're contaminating our threads.
Now, guys, check this out. The Carby has a fair bit of wiggle back and forth. So you want to find what I like to do is move it forward, move it back, move it about halfway, and then wiggle it forward, wiggle it back, get it about halfway. So that's what I would call settled. Now I'm going to hold it down here. Can you grab that throttle shaft there, bro, and open it? Just make sure there's no obstructions, that it opens wide open, clean, and shuts. Beautiful. Sometimes the Carby can foul on a gasket, on a spacer plate, on the inside of the intake. There's any number of reasons that you can actually get stuck there and not get full throttle opening.
Some jobs on the car, guys, like underneath the car, you know, they're pretty hard. I gotta admit, you don't like doing everything, but guys, doing this, oh man. I didn't have to buy this one, it's awesome. It's so good. I get the pleasure of fitting a brand new Carby, and I didn't have to spend $1,000. The way the US dollar's going, guys, these Carbys are just steadily. There was a few years ago where they just went through the roof. All right, get that last nut on. Where's he walked off to?
Very lucky here, guys. When we came through, we had to pull the loom apart and do a bit of a rest, so there was a lot of damage over here. A lot of wires rubbed from the loom being pulled in and out of the car previously. We're going to be fitting ice ignition, so we've tracked the resistor wire quite far back. I'm probably going to delete that out of the loom, or we might go the other way and hook a relay up onto the end so that the ice gets full voltage.
I don't know how, guys, just had everything laid out perfect. This one just went walk away, but I found it. These studs, I can't even explain how nice they feel when you're winding the threads on. It's like the thread's like lubricated.
They do put like a little like clear protection or something on there. It's really nice, like a wax. We've got brand new tri-by pacemaker extractors on here, guys. It's running a thumper camshaft, so it's going to sound absolutely awesome. It's a few stages up, it's not the base one, so it's going to haul too. The thumper's not really ideal for all that performance, but for a cruiser, which is what this car is, it's going to sound sick and it's going to go good, and it's going to have plenty of mid-range.
Alright guys, Carby tightening time. What I've done now is I've just taken the bolts to the bottom and they're just... Guys, there's a bit of a thing here. The Carby is extremely flexible, it's extremely soft, and you can warp it easy. So you want to get it a perfect seal, you don't want to go too tight. So you just very carefully just work slowly tighter and tighter, doing a cross direction. So 1/2 inch, guys, deep socket because of the studs. Like this, you use a small tool, guys, and you can't overload it then. So you can't, if you use
quarter inch,
if you use the 1/2 inch drive, you just shear them off, you know, you'll do some damage. So use a little tool, guys, 1/4 inch. Just nip it.
They only need to be done up to 15 foot-pounds.
Nip.
So the 1/4 inch just helps you get there so much more safely and with much better feeling.
I cycle around, guys, and I just nip it down about 3 or 4 times a bit further, and it just gets absolutely true. Keeping in mind, guys, they're brand new gaskets. It's the first crush.
Another reason we use the spacer plate, guys, if you were to put the Carby straight on the Edelbrock Performer, the fuel rail will actually hit these 2 little bolts here, even these chrome ones, and fuel logs, they all come out quite far and quite big because they're all intended to be on a high rise, the double pumper intakes. So that's another reason why we've used that 1/2 inch. It's not just for the fuel heat issues, it's also so the fuel rail clears the intake. You don't want nothing touching anywhere transferring heat. That's it, guys. Did you see that? Beautiful.
So a bit of a tip, guys, actually hold it. Don't go out here, you'll get too much torque on it. Hold it nice and close, because most men are pretty strong. You would, without even trying, you'd put about 25 pounds of force on. So what you do, guys, very carefully, just a light, small 1/4 inch drive, just, that's it. That's tight. Don't go any tighter, guys. That's it. That's the bottom.
Crisscross, guys.
Yep, a little bit tighter on that one.
Perfect.
A little bit there.
We'll get a bull stud.
That's it.
We'll get an air filter.
Done.
And we'll come back and we'll finish this off. Alright guys, so we're back out at the XR. We've put our bull stud on the Carby. This is normally your traditional spot. The higher you put it, the more you're going to need it to pull further. The lower you put it, the less it's going to have to pull. We're probably going to end up moving the stud to this hole here, but we've got to get the cross member in first. And it's just a little bit tight, it seems to go there. The other day when I was looking through the footage of when we nipped the Carby on, we actually worked out that we just needed an extra washer underneath the Carby, so we've put that on now, retorqued it. We've got a stepped Carby stud. This one is by Spectre. They call it a speed stud. So the double pumper Holleys have a slightly thicker thread in the main body here. And we've got our air filter over here, guys, Edelbrock high flow with the extreme lid. So we may as well grab this now. Check out where it is on the bottom, line it up, so we'll put that forward. Beautiful, there we go, guys. Right there, like that. Let's get this stud here. When you're cutting a stud shorter, it pays to put a nut on there and then cut it and wind the nut off so it cuts a nice neat thread. This one's going on very nicely. I have to click that air filter back into the base all the way around. They're very tight to get together, these bad boys. Line up the bowl vents with the drop base and voila, she's on. Beautiful. Alrighty, so that's how you fit a new Holley Carby onto a 351 Cleveland. Thanks for watching. Make sure you smash that like and subscribe, guys. Yoo!